But it is Saturday night, and it looks like it's saying I'm live, so I'm taking that to the bank, and I will make sure that we're actually doing something over here. It looks like it's working. I see my arm moving, so that is a very, very good sign. So if you guys were here on Thursday for the after lunch bunch, I did a fan fold card, not a fun fan fold, not a fun card. Well, whatever, it's a fan card, and it is an A2 size. Hey, Rosie. And then I very confidently did all the things to upload the video into YouTube into something that people could watch later. Hey, Marva. Hi, Sue. And I don't know. I hit a button. I hope I didn't hit the button today. I'm hoping I will get it done right. But since I don't actually know how I messed it up on Thursday, there's a chance I will reborkify this. So y'all cross your fingers and send good vibes my way that I don't act my age and screw up this YouTube video again. Hey, Lorraine. Hi, Judy. Hi, Kathy and Marianne and Susan. Appreciate you guys coming. So as a result of that Fox Pass, I am making that exact same fun fold again so that we will hopefully have a video for you to watch. But I decided to change it up a little bit. I went with a much more masculine vibe this time. You can see some timeless plaid here that has moved into the online exclusive, so that is awesome. That means it's going to be around for a minute, I hope. And then I have some Scenic Adventure, some pine trees, and a few die cuts. And I used the Wonderful Thoughts stamp and die set that is in the annual catalog. Now, this used to be a bundle. It's no longer bundled, but you can still get both items separately. And I used the gorgeous Birchwood 3D embossing folder. So hopefully you will enjoy this one. I hope you enjoyed the other one. It's very much more feminine. You can see it. Check my blog post from Friday. And really just make the card the same. The only place it differs is in the decorations. Okay, so I think you can extrapolate to another card if you would prefer. Okay, so let's get started. Hopefully, I've now made this a few times, so hopefully I won't bork it on camera, because that's never good. Hey, Janice, appreciate you coming, and Lynn and Susan and Bonnie, appreciate you guys coming tonight. Okay, so we're going to start with a piece of basic beige cardstock as our card base, and it is 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 to start with. Make sure I'm using my score blade, and then I am going to mark 1 3/4 inches from the right side of the top, on the top. Okay, so, and when I did this on Thursday, I tried to like do all my marking and then be done with my trimmer and my ruler, and yeah, no. I'm just not even going to try it today, okay? How about that? Not even going to try. So we're just going to line our ruler up, and I'm going to make a mark at 1 3/4 inches across. And you know what? I can do a little bit. I can do this. I have the technology to do this. So let me get my other pieces that are card-based pieces. Those are not for this. We will go ahead and mark 1 3/4 here. And I can already tell that I did not cut an actual card front, I don't think. Let me, oh wait, maybe I did. Maybe we'll get lucky. Luck happens occasionally. Better to be lucky than good any day. Okay, so there's 1 3/4 there. This is going to be our mat. And then I have my first piece. This is going to be design 1. You'll be able to tell the difference between them because design 1 has old olive in it. Design 2 does not. Okay, so that's what it says in the blog post. That's what it says in the directions, and that's what I'm going to try to use all of this time. So I've got 1 3/4 marked there. Okay. So let me, I know, it's terrible that, I appreciate you linking, but let's use this one. Hopefully it will work, okay? So now, in order to do this, I'm going to pull my cutting blade up to the top. What you're going to do is you're going to stick that mark, and you may not be able to see it, but I can barely with my very, very awesome old eyes. I'm going to put that mark right in the cutting blade, the little cutting track right there, and then this corner is going to go down in the cutting track. When you are cutting with a corner, I want you to always, the best you can, start at the other end. So you want to start where it's a large piece of paper, not that little tiny point, or you're likely to crush your point. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull that down, and you're gonna be able to discard that, but we'll keep it. But you can see where we're getting going here. Gonna do the same 2 more times. Put that little mark right in the cutting track. Go ahead and run this up and make that cut. And we're gonna hang on to that as well. And then I'm gonna do one more. Yes, Rosie's a godsend. I'm gonna do that basic beige piece again. This will be the last thing we do here. So you can see this is a lot easier to see. I've got the little mark in the cutting track and then the corner down there. Run my blade up, and there we go. Now, this one I definitely want to keep because I am going to use it part of the card. All right, we'll put the trimmer away for a half a second. Apparently I did not change my trimmer blade. So let me pull out my handy dandy little sander block just to clean that up a little bit, and we'll do the same with this. And then I'm going to erase that little bit of mark that you can still see. Okay, and we're going to save that for later. Now, this is straight up gluing, so it's a little bit like watching cement dry, but in this case it's liquid glue drying. So we're going to put some liquid glue on. When you're doing these little oddball cuts where you've got lots of little corners, you definitely want to get that glue down in the corners, but it's not like you're licensed to go crazy with the glue. You still don't need a bunch of glue. It's more about where the glue is, okay? So we'll just go ahead and mat this like so. As I said about our other card that used the Floral Impressions DSP and the Impressions of Bloom bundle, this is not going to be a thin, lightweight card, okay? It's going to have lots of layers of cardstock, so you're probably going to need to do a little extra postage. For me, these are great cards to send when you're sending a package, so you can put it in with the package, and its individual thickness isn't so much of a thing. And this one happens to be going to go in a package, so it's all going to be good. Okay, so we're going to get that lined up and set down. I can see I got a little busy with the liquid glue, so I'll try to fix that. And then I'll come back with, if I need to, with my gum eraser, which I hope everyone has. Hey, Patricia, appreciate you coming from Canada. Thanks, Jean. I'm glad to be back as well. Hopefully I will get it done correctly. Okay, so now we can go ahead and fold this up, and I'm going to give it a little burnish with my bone folder. And let's go ahead and make the inside, all right? So for the inside, once again, I have a Mossy Meadow cardstock panel, and I'm going to leave it full size. So this is how it's going to look behind the fold. You're going to be able to see it. And I thought it would be fun, because I'm all clever like that, to use this little die in the Scenic Adventures, and it just cuts out some holes and a little moon. And I thought that would be a fun thing to show. Now, I did this. I'm not sure if it makes a big difference. Oh, I'm sorry if my sound is in and out. Let me turn up my volume. Maybe that'll help. Let me make sure I turned it up and not down. Yes, it looks like it is. Okay, I will try to not. I think I'm talking softer. Now, I did this with my first one just because I kind of wanted to be able to see those little stars a little better. You can do it or not. You could use your tweezer like I'm using, or you could use the pointy take your pick tool attachment. I'm just trying to make these a little bigger so that they're a little more visible. It's still not like, oh my gosh, there's stars. It's not like that. They're not that big. You probably could put some white behind it, but I just didn't think it was worth doing all of that. The stars are kind of a, oh, there's some stars there. I see them like that. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? I am sorry. Are you hearing a sound like a flag fluttering? You know what? Here, let me turn off my fan, and we'll see if that fixes it. Did that fix it for those of you who are hearing a flag fluttering? If it didn't, then I'm going to turn it back on. Okay. Now we're going to use a little liquid glue. Put a little bit up in this corner. Put a little bit up towards where the die has cut out the stars, but I wouldn't put it too much behind the stars, or you're going to get some oozage going on there. All right. Liquid glue is like the miracle adhesive because you just don't need a whole ton. Once you get used to using it, you'll never go back, I promise. Okay, now let's talk about our white piece. Once again, I'm going, okay, that's better. Okay, good. All right, so let me get my ruler back out. And I've got my piece of basic white, very much like the other day with the other card. And once again, I am going to measure 1 3/4 over from the right edge. You can sort of see a trend. So if you can remember the number 1 3/4, you're probably going to do okay with this card. And we're just going to cut that again like we did. Okay, so I've got the little mark up there in the top. Bring up my blade. Okay, and then cut that. But I thought it would be kind of fun because I'm fun like that. I am fun. I don't care what anybody says. Don't listen to Amy. I am fun. Okay, so this is what I did. Here is a fun little die in Scenic Adventures, and it makes a tree line. So I took a piece of Mossy Meadow, sorry, and I've already cut it, but I wanted to show you. And it's a little long. It's about 4.5 inches long, and it was about 1 3/4 inches tall. You could go down to 1.5. And I just put that die on, about like that, and I ran it through the die cut and embossing machine. Okay, and what that gives you is this little tree line. Okay, so now on the 5th Friday of any month, really, I don't even. Thank you, Rosemary. It's been a minute. I've been kind of gone. All right, so what you're going to do here is you're going to just take your liquid glue and put it kind of on the bottom of this. And you can put a few, I don't want to put it on this because I don't know where I'm going to set it exactly yet, because I want to see where I want my trees to be. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm just going to line the bottom up like that. Remember the little tip I showed you guys the other day about how to make sure that you can already tell I don't have it down there. But if you put it against a dark background instead of against like your white grid paper, then you can see for reals whether you've got it good or not. And I did not have it good. But you've got liquid glue working, so you can just kind of check it. See how I don't see any white now? It's really hard to tell that against that white background there, but if I put it against the dark one, then you're good. So then just take your trimmers, your little snippy whippies, and snip off the edge, that leftover excess tree line. Like a so. Just like a so. Okay? And then when you put this on here, which we're not going to do until we have stamped, you're going to have a tree line across the bottom. Okay, okay, okay. All right, now I am going to put a sentiment here. This is from Wonderful Thoughts. It's my inside sentiment. And it says, "You can do amazing things," which goes very nicely with the congratulations on the front. We're going to try to get that straight, like so. And I am then going to take the single large tree image from Scenic Adventures, and I'm going to stamp. I don't have that good at all, do I? Stamp, 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 and then do one more without re-inking. Okay, just like that. Now, on my first card, because of who it's going to and why that individual is getting a congratulations and his age, I crossed out can and wrote in will, and I used one of our new 0.04 or 0.4 size journaling pens. So these are kind of fun. You buy these, you get a pack of 3. So it's a good deal. All right, so there we go. Let me go ahead and adhere this on the inside, and then we can play on the front. Okay. All right, so let's go. Let's go, babies. Here we go. Again, it's not so much about how much you use. Less is more with liquid glue, but you do kind of want it along the edges for sure, and in those little corners. And then get a good reveal around the top, the side, left side, and the bottom. And there you go. And I'm gonna not modify this one on the inside until I see whether I need that or not. All right? Okay, so now let's make some fans. We're gonna start with the large fan, and I have 2 pieces of cardstock and a piece of the DSP. You can see this is design number 2 of the Timeless Plaid, because it does not have, I mean, if you really squint, you could probably see a little bit, but you can tell it does not really have Old Olive in it. So that's design number 2. On these fans, really all you're gonna do is you're gonna take triangles or rectangles, and you're gonna cut them from top left to bottom right to make triangles. Easy peasy, no more measuring. I'm taking that back. I'm not saying no more measuring until I know for sure that there's no more measuring. This is pretty basic though, okay? You're going to put the top left corner in the cutting channel and the bottom right corner in the cutting channel. And we have a problem because I told you not to cut up or down here because you're going to be in a corner. So bring your cutting blade up to the center of your cut area and then just go each way. Okay, so you're going to save that top right triangle, and you can hang on to or discard the other one at your leisure. Do the same with our Mossy Meadow mat. Top left corner, bottom right corner, bring the cutting blade up and cut. Save that part. You can keep this for later. And then one more time with a basic beige for the base of the fan. Okay, this is starting to be something you can see a trend, right? Trend. And we can keep this for later. It's a good solid piece to do some die cutting with. Let me play with my little sander here. Y'all, this sander, I probably bought this 1,000 years ago, maybe fewer, a few, but it's just a Tim Holtz craft sander, and it's really handy for fixing up those little extra bits that do things like you want. Alrighty, now we're going to adhere these all together again with liquid glue up into the points. I'll show you a little tip here. When you get your glue on, stop squeezing and just use the tip to kind of spread it around into the corner. Okay, that way you're not adding more glue, but you're making sure that you get everything adhered the way you want it to adhere. Okay. And squish it around a little bit until it gets where you want. Be sure you put glue on the correct side. I mean, I suppose this side showing wouldn't be a problem, but it isn't the one I want. And so I'm trying to be careful and use my noggin ahead of time instead of after the fact when I have to go, oh, shoot fire. All right, so get that down into those little points like that. And then we will adhere it suchly wutchly. Okay, now you can see our first fan is done. This is going to be our bottom fan. And the way we're going to adhere this is we're going to stick this little point right smack down into that bottom left corner of your card base. And then you're going to kind of rotate it so that this tip is not extending past the edge of the card base. And the way it's going to work out, it's math and science, is this is going to run right about into the top cut edge of that piece. So you're going to put a little liquid glue in, and you don't want to go all the way up because this part is sticking out. So keep it right here, about that far down. Get it down in that tip, good. And then you can just put some liquid glue right there to catch that part that you didn't put glue on. Okay, so stick the end down, hold it with your thumb, and then you can kind of rotate it until it's where you want it to be, like that. Okay, so you can see how that worked out. Make sure I did get a little glue up there, see? I got a little cocky, so I'm gonna just wipe that off with my damp doohickey. Note to self, change cutting blade. Okay, so there's our bottom fan. Now, we're gonna do the same exact thing. An emery board absolutely does it. The sander, it's got a big space. And I can tell you what, I think this is probably the sanding paper that this block came with, because I don't do a lot of, you know, we have this center core cardstock now that has the white on the inside, so you can emboss it and sand it, and I really haven't done a lot with this, so it lasts a long time. Okay, now the last fan, the top fan, remember that piece of the basic beige cardstock that I cut off of our card base? That's going to be our base here, and then we're going to use a small piece of Mossy Meadow and another piece of the same DSP, so DSP design number 1. And we're just going to cut top left corner to bottom right corner. Put your cutting blade in the center. And this one is, you got to kind of use your, you know, think about it a little bit or that thing will move, I promise. Ask me how I know. And you can get rid of this one. So if you can remember 1 3/4 inches and top left corner to bottom right corner, keep the top triangle. You've got this card knocked. You'll always know the dimensions, how to do it. Okay? Okay, there we go. So again, we're going to do some gluing. Some gluing and some gluing and some gluing. Now, I hate to break it to you, but I do have to do a little die cutting. I've cut most of it, but I really kind of wanted to show you how I did one of the things that I did. Okay, so we're going to just glue these together. Okay. Oh. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I had to stop talking for a second so that I could put that on. Have you guys reached the age? Did you guys know that if you turn your radio down in your car, you can see better? I don't know how that works, but it does. And I've noticed that my husband and I both do it when we get like into a parking area and we're trying to find a place to park or think about where we are in relation to the entrance. We always turn the radio down because we can see better, apparently. Then I don't understand. Okay, here we go. So this is the last really boring gluing that we're gonna do. And then we're gonna make our front. Come here now. There we go. Okay. All right. And then this guy is just gonna center, again with his little tip right down in the bottom left corner of the card base. And then he's gonna just center up on the other one. So again, don't put your liquid glue too far up, but do get it down in that little point. Okay, there we go. All right. Like so. All right, so there's our fan. That's just about how hard that is. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to make some decorations. So let's see what we have as our pieces and parts. From the Scenic Adventures, I cut. You have a die that cuts out 2 trees at once. So I did one in Mossy Meadow, one in Old Olive, and then I did one small one in Old Olive because I needed 5 trees. Hello, 5, not 4, not 2, not 3, but 5. So I've got those die cut. And then I stamped on basic beige, I stamped the congratulations sentiment from Wonderful Thoughts in Mossy Meadow ink. And Wonderful Thoughts is pretty amazing. The stamp set is all sentiment, but you do get a fun little flower die and a label die and a heart with the dies, but each one of the sentiments in the set has a corresponding die. This one happens to be the one for congratulations. What you're really getting is you are getting fussy cut sentiments without having to fussy cut. Fussy cut, not fussy cuts, fussy cut. Okay, so let's talk about the base here. I took a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock and I cut it with the next to largest circle die in stylish shapes. I barely even count stylish shapes as an additional thing that you need for a card, because in Mary's world, if you don't have stylish shapes, you really just need to get it because it is amazing. All right, so to me, it's like having liquid glue, Stampin' Dimensionals, paper snips, and stylish shapes. You just have it. You just do. So then I embossed it in the Birch 3D embossing folder, and I made part of it, I made sure that my circle got some of these horizontal lines versus all of this like ground, because in Mary's world, this looks a little bit like ground, and this looks a little bit like sky. Work with me, people. So that was my thought process there. So I cut that out. Then, using the Scenic Shapes mountain die, I've got just, this is just a 4 1/4 inch wide piece of basic beige. And I cut the mountain right out of the top, just like that. Okay. So I just had, the cardstock was all the way out. I ran it through, and this is what I got. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera, and I'm going to take that same next to largest stylish shapes die, and I'm going to cut out a mountain. And I'm going to cut it right about like that. I want the top to be blank, because see what's going to happen here? See what I'm doing? I'm making a little scene. Not making a scene, making a scene. Do you know what I mean? Chili bean? Okay. So does that make sense to everybody? Give me some thumbs up if that makes sense. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay. Maybe it's a delay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and if it wasn't making sense, it will as soon as you see what I've done. All right, there we go. Judy said it makes sense, so it does. All right, here we go. I'll just cut this out right quick like a bunya. Making sure it stays where I want it. Making sure it stays where I want it. There we go. Okay, now when you pull this out, it should stay together, but if it doesn't, just hang on to the pieces. It'll all go back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use liquid glue on the back of this. Yay! Okay, we all were copying what Mary was attempting to say. We're going to use liquid glue on the back of this. And again, you kind of want to get around all the little parts. And be a little easy, because that die actually does cut slits in your cardstock, okay? So we're going to line this up. Get the bottoms lined up. And it doesn't really matter if it's as straight as you want, because you can just put the circle on any way you want. Okay, so there's our circle. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to adhere that to my card front with liquid glue. All right, and I want it to be about there and about. See, you can change how the mountain looks, but I kind of like it with what looks like a real horizon there. All right, so we'll just give that a second or two to adhere to itself. And then I'm going to adhere my die cut trees with some more liquid glue. And you're just making a scene here. All right, so we'll put those right about there. And the same with the Mossy Meadow. We're going to offset those just a little bit and bring them down just a little. Uh-oh. Lady Di, I hope you have safety. Be safe. Thunderstorms are nothing to mess with. We seem to be out of the pattern right now, but you never know. All right, so I'm going to adhere those like that. And then I'm going to adhere this little last one to make 5. He's going to go right about there, just like that. Okay, now, while that dries, I'm going to take some couple of lengths of linen thread and tie a simple bow and walk a simple style. Okay. Nah, I think I just dated myself. Okay. So I like to not cut my linen thread until I know that I've got my bow how I want it. Mostly because it saves me having to do it over several times. See how I mean? I didn't do it very good. I'm still gonna have to do it over several times, but if I've already cut it, it makes it even harder. And if you're really, really good at figuring out where to do bows, then you're a better girl than I, but I have to do it 2 or 3 times almost every time. I have been doing this now for 10 plus years and I still have to mess around making bows. What is up with that? You would think I could be trained a little better than that. Okay, so that's how I want that bow to be right now. 107. Oh my goodness. That's not okay. We have had we had 3 or 4 days of kind of stormy days. Hang on a second, I gotta have a drink, guys, sorry. Carol, you are right, it is easy to make, but it really looks cool. All right. No, anyway, the thunderstorms went through yesterday, and so we have that after the front coolness, so it's beautiful. We've had the house open all day. It's been lovely. Okay, so I've got my bow made here, and I'm going to adhere it right about there, and then we're going to put the sentiment over the top with some dimensionals. Okay, so what I did here is I just want to be sure I'm getting it kind of in the right spot. So that works out good. I can put it right there with some liquid glue. Oh, excuse me. My goodness. Yes, it's only going to get hotter. Mary got her ruler. It's actually a Tim Holtz ruler, Ideology, and I probably bought it either at Michael's or Joann's. Joann's gone, so Michael's now, or you may be able to get it on Amazon. What I love about it, not only can you see through it, and it has 16th marks, but it has a beveled side. One side is beveled, so you can make really nice lines with it if you do that. All right. Now, while this is drying, I'm going to put some dimensionals on my sentiment. Now, normally, I would put the dimensionals on the card base, but as narrow as this sentiment is, I'm putting it right on the sentiment itself. So I'm just going to put a piece of a dimensional behind the C, and then I can put some pieces down this direction and just leave this kind of a gap for my linen thread bow. Make sense? Is that right? Is that right? Okay, okay. Let's see, I'm going to cut a piece here. And for those of you who are going, why didn't she put that on a piece of adhesive foam? Well, because I'm going over a linen thread bow. And also I forgot. So there you go. I forget to use the foam adhesive sheets multiple times. Yes, it is the most amazingly wonderful ruler ever. I actually have 3 of them now. When I was at my mom's last, well, maybe not last, but before that, I bought this one off of Amazon. I think I couldn't find the Tim Holtz one. I don't know why I ended up with this one, and it is adequate. It does have 1/4 inch ruler marks, and it does have a beveled edge, so, and a metal edge on the other side. So if all else fails, you could get this one and it would work. What I don't love about this one, sorry, this is totally an aside, but I think it matters. On the Tim Holtz one, the measurement starts at the very end of the ruler. Okay, so from the end of the ruler to the 1 is 1 inch, but on this one, the markings don't start for like the first 1/8 of an inch. and it ends over there. I like that the ruler goes from end to end of the acrylic piece. Okay, so that's a personal preference. If that doesn't bother you, then this is a great ruler. If you're used to using a ruler that doesn't go right to the end, this is a great ruler. But there you go. Now, let me get this on. And then we will do one quick fit check to be sure that I am not messing myself up there. And it looks like I'm not. So we will take the covers off. You'll be glad to know we're almost done. For those of you thinking, oh my goodness, she's come back from her time off. And she is just going to go for hours and hours every time. Okay, so let's try to get that kind of straight. And give it a push. And that's our card, y'all, because we've already done the inside. And that's all we got to do. All now I'm going to do is stamp a couple of trees on the front of my envelope flap. Nope, on the front of the actual envelope, not the flap. I'll put some DSP on the flap. And I'm going to stamp once and again. That's Old Olive. So I just put 2 on there. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. Y'all keep your fingers crossed that I don't do something between now and tomorrow that makes it so that you can't see this thing. Because if it does, I am afraid I will have to say that YouTube has won. And I will have to quit. So y'all, if you want me to keep doing this, cross your fingers that I don't bork it, okay? All right, and then we'll just do the world's easiest fussy cut. I'd like to point out there was no fussy cutting on this card or really the other one. Just the envelope flap. I don't count trimming the edges off of the die cut on the inside. That does not count. I'm so sorry. All right, so there you go. Fan fold in the A2 size. I did get the measurements from Queen Bee Creations. That's Lisa Bernard. You can find these all over. Most of them are going to be A7, so be sure that you are using measurements for the size of the card that you want. If you do not an A7, the 5x7 size, okay? Make sure you've got envelopes for those if you use them. These will fit in your normal medium size envelope, although they're going to be a little thick. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And hopefully I will see you again on Thursday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time for the Thursday After Lunch Bunch. Have a good one. Ta!